People pleaser or pleasant person? Which one are we? Which one is the healthier one to be? In the world that we live in, there are so many prejudices, and we try to make good impressions, we try to have good friends, we try to be in touch with sensible people. It's great to be liked by everyone, but this is in truth not the reality. We can't possibly be liked by everyone. There's 6 billion people in the world, and it's not healthy to want to be liked by everyone. People make their own criteria of whom they like, of whom should like them. And if we're going to live in a world where we're trying to fit into everybody's criteria, then we're really not being in touch with our true selves, and we're really not being friends with sensible people. Some people think of themselves as being unlikable, and they'll only be likable and win other people's affection when they do things for other people that the other people like. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but when you're constantly feeling unworthy, if a person has low self esteem and they feel unworthy and they do things for other people in order to win favor, win them over, otherwise they do not feel worthy, then they become a people pleaser. They do acts of kindness for other people to win their favor, win them over. Acts of kindness should not be motivated by me winning someone over, me looking better in their eyes, winning favor, winning their winning their favor. I should not do that. Doing acts of kindness should be done and motivated because it is the right thing to do. Acts of kindness are good. It's the right thing to do. It may not always feel comfortable to do so. And we know that the more difficult something is, the more reward there is for it. If we like ourselves, we will not be desperate to be liked by the whole world. We should do our best to live decent lives, to live good lives. This will not guarantee that everybody will recognize us and appreciate us. If I realize this and have good self esteem, then I will adopt the attitude of the following: if this person doesn't like me, well, tough for them. This is their judgment. Why should I be the victim of their bad judgment? I'm not responsible for their bad judgment. That is their problem. Now, a person can say, well, that sounds a little bit conceited. Does that mean one should be vain? No. A person can be humble and yet at the same time know that they are worthy. Vanity means thinking of oneself as being superior to others. I'm better than you. That's vanity. However, we all have talents. We all have incredible God-given talents. If I'm aware of my talents and I know that they have nothing to do with me, my talents are God-given, it is a privilege, it is an honor to have these talents. So I will give it my all to internalize that these were bestowed to me. I'm responsible for these gifts. I'm responsible to use these gifts wisely. It's a privilege to be entrusted with this tremendous responsibility to use this gift. I will not be conceited. I'm privileged. I'm lucky that I was given this gift. That's not vanity. That's humility, because I understand that this gift was given to me as a gift so that I could squeeze the most out of it and bring it into this world and use it in this world for the good. Humility is a feeling of not having done all that I can. Humility is a feeling that this is actually going to stimulate me to do even more. Obviously, we should avoid doing things that provoke others. We should not make ourselves unlikable. We should be pleasant to other people. But if we are kind, just, and considerate, we will be liked by sensible people. If people do not like us, even though we live proper and decent lives, they are not sensible. Why should I get upset because a person is not being sensible. Why should I worry about me being liked by someone who has bad judgment? You know, a personal example of mine is that, you know, regarding people pleasing, when I was very young, much younger, starting to figure out what I want to do with my life, my college years. So my father, who is an educator, um, before we came to America, he said, you know, he was an educator, so he said, don't become an educator. And I like teaching, but I didn't know if I would really have that passion yet. So I did things that I actually went onto fields that he recommended. He said, you know, go on this field and that field, and I really would love for my daughter to be this type of have this type of field, be this type of person, and I wanted really to please him. I really wanted to make him happy. I wanted to please him. I wanted him to be proud of me. Now, there's nothing wrong with being with pleasing a parent because that's also respectful. But I really went out of my way, and I actually failed miserably the classes that I took. Um, and I ended up going to teaching anyway, which is a passion of mine. And so, you know, the reason why he said don't go into teaching is because he was a teacher himself. And he said it's such a field where you do so much and there's so much appreciation that should be given that it isn't. And that's just the truth of the matter. But he cared about me so much and he cares about me. And I mean, I understand now that the appreciation is from within when you really like what you do. Um, I really give that blessing onto everyone to really enjoy what you do. It really makes your day a lot more meaningful and happier. So that was my personal example of people pleaser. You know, um, Rabbi Twersky shares that when he was an intern, he was in a hospital, and he shared a room with another intern. Now he had to work sometimes all night, and he had to sleep during the day. So he would come to his room only to see a few hours later his intern roommate would come and barge in blasting full radio. The radio was blasting and it was just loud and it was rude. And Rabbi Twersky said, Rabbi Abraham Twersky said, you know, I really would appreciate if you don't put the radio on when I'm sleeping. And he didn't get the message. The intern, he did not get the message. So what happened was, Rabbi Twersky decided to remove the tube from the radio. So this intern decided to go to the radio shop and try to get it repaired. And he just comes a few days later and says, you know, I just don't get it. The radio works at the radio shop and it doesn't work here. I don't get it. And that's when Rabbi Twersky said, you know, I have to confess that nothing's wrong with your radio. Nothing's wrong. But I really feel that, but it's definitely weird to have a person be so inconsiderate to see somebody sleeping and blasting his radio when someone is sleeping. That's really inconsiderate. And that's why when the intern got the message. You know, family members are not the only members where we have to be considerate of. We have to be thoughtful of one another. You know, if we live in a house and it's, let's say, attached to somebody else, we have to be considerate not to blast the music. If we know they're observing a holiday, we know they perhaps may not be feeling well. It's also has a big part to do with our families. We need to teach our children to be considerate of one another, even if we share rooms, to be considerate because when they're doing it when they're small, children, students, it's going to be a part of them. It's going to be much easier for them to access respect and consideration. You know, there's a story when Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach was old and weak. He came from a synagogue in Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem, Israel, and he was approached by a man. And Rabbi Auerbach, since he was so old, he had an aide, and the aide quickly shooed the person away because of his weakened state. And he said, no, no, no. When somebody asks for help, we must listen. Rabbi Auerbach said. So he listened to the man. The man said, you know, I live upstairs in an apartment, and my carpet got really, really dirty and I can't afford to get it cleaned. So I rolled it up, and now my neighbor downstairs is complaining that I'm making too much noise. What should I do? What should I do? And the Rabbi Orbach said, of course you have to be considerate of your neighbor. Put back the carpet, go to the hardware store, get some cheaper solution to clean your carpet. Clean it yourself. You don't have to hire anyone. But it obligates you to be respectful of your neighbor. Why do they have to suffer because you can't afford to get a certain type of cleaning for your carpet? You could still clean your carpet yourself in a different way and not to cause distress to your neighbor. Even if you are not related, you must be considered of someone who you share a dwelling. The Talmud states that a person must be a good friend and a good neighbor. This is what's written in Ethics of the Fathers 2:13. Now, you cannot be a good friend if you're not a good neighbor. You cannot be a good friend if you're not a good neighbor. My personal insight on this is, regarding your friends, you choose your friends, whether it's because you have similar interests, whether it's because you enjoy their company, you admire them, you can benefit from them. We choose our friends. Now, you don't really choose your neighbors. Neighbors move in and out. And my personal insight is, in a beautiful way, is that respect what you are given in order to truly respect what you achieve. You achieve your friends, but you are given your neighbors. So if I truly respect what I'm given in life, Hashem, our God, gives us everything in life. Whatever I'm given, if I respect it, if I use it wisely, that I'm going to truly respect what I achieve, which is really with God's help. Another insight of mine is the following. When a person passes away, they have a memorial services. Who are the closest people to them that attend the memorial services? Are probably their family. And who's in their family? Their children, their spouse. And that's who knows them. That's the person. Those are the people who know them the best. Now, we can be occasionally kind, kind all the time, but we have instances where our neighbor will really notice our kindness, or our friend will notice our kindness. But our true character is from the opinions of our husbands, our spouse, and our children. So I need to be considerate. I need to be respectful. I need to be my true self. And that's who I'm really, really representing, my true self, when I'm home. Everyone can be perfectly considerate of others once in a while, like to a friend or neighbor. But a character trait of respecting others is part of the person always, a trait that the family sees. May we merit to internalize true respect for ourselves, for others. Leah Abramov, Being and Becoming.